Hi again. It's time for another creature feature. The second one I actually did in February because if you noticed in the last video, I mentioned this one. I had done the illustration of the first dog pretty much the same day I'd done the voiceover for the Amabi. The Amabi had been January's, but it hadn't happened in January, so I did both of these in February essentially. So the creature is, and I'm sorry if I say this wrong, I don't know, but I believe it is pronounced Bul-gae, B-U-L-G-A-E. So they are this sort of mythical dog. They're like a big fire dog. They're from Korean mythology. And they come from the Kingdom of Darkness to chase the sun and the moon. So they cause eclipses when they bite the sun and moon, which I thought was really friggin' cute. They also are described as looking kind of like Spitz-like dogs, like the Shiba Inu or something along those lines. But I decided again to kind of pick a Canadian, or well, an indigenous Canadian dog breed that is also very Spitz-like. As a result, it just looks like a Shiba Inu. But they're a really neat dog breed. It was the Tahltan bear dog. So they're these small dogs that they used. It's an extinct dog breed now. I don't believe there's any Tahltan bear dogs left, or if they are, it's very few. But at the time that they were being used regularly, they were a small hunting dog. They not very big at all, like very small, and you would use them to track bear tracks because they could run on top of the snow instead of falling through it like a larger dog would. And they would track down the bear tracks, and when they found the dog, they would found the bear, they would surround it and bark at it, confuse the bear, kind of keep it on its toes until the hunters could arrive to, well, hunt it. And I thought it was just such a neat looking little dog. They had these little, like, straight out the back not even a puff tail, almost like a brush tail. And I loved the shape of that. So I decided to use them because I just thought the idea of them chasing the moon and barking at it until, I don't know, until it got confused and stopped running away and it could just get a good little bite on it was very cute to me. So, any case, and if I've said anything incorrectly about the Tahltan dog, bear dog, and like how its history and stuff, then feel free to correct me in the comments. I basically just did a cursory search when I was kind of figuring out the dog breed I wanted to use as the base, and also I did that a little while ago, like a few weeks ago, and I haven't looked at it since, so I may have forgotten some of the details. But if you want to look it up, you can check them out too. The Tahltan is Tahltan. In any case, I wanted to do one, which was this first one, that was chasing the moon, and I wanted it to be kind of fiery looking. So I kind of wanted them to be complementary or opposite to whichever celestial body they were chasing. So the moon is being chased by a big fire dog, and you'll see later. Well, I guess a little fire dog in the case of this one. The sun later on is going to be being chased by a little celestial galaxy type dog. But I did this one first, and a few days later I did the second one. And I had a lot of fun playing with wet on wet techniques with this. I was able to I did a big wet yellow wash, and I used my beam paints for all of this because I knew that they wouldn't dry down quite as fast as my koi watercolors do. Also, they blend really nice. They're very smooth. So I knew this would be a lot easier with these than it is with the koi set. The koi set I find tends to granulate and things go bad. So I had this, and I basically just took a little bit of black paint from the koi set to kind of do the grays and add to this blue to do the little like crater shapes on the moon. And 100% like this paint is so nice. I love it so much. It's my favorite paint. I also want to apologize for my lighting. My window faces out into the front field, and this day and many other days, especially in the winter, if it's a sunny day, then it's just impossible to manage the light, and it just keeps going back and forth with the shadows, with the clouds, and yeah, I'm so sorry. If I was better at editing, I'd know how to balance this out. I don't, so I'm sorry. And that's our first celestial body Bul-gae done. So this is the fire one that was chasing the moon. And then a little while later, I went in and started on the one chasing the sun. I didn't have any black paper in the correct size, so I went and got that speedball ink that I spilled on myself forever ago that I only have a little bit left of, and I kind of put a little bit of water in to kind of loosen it up. And this I laid down as close to full strength as I could. I did have to water it because it's getting a little bit gunky because it's older. But it did result in like a black page. I was trying to get rid of all the streak marks. I don't think I ended up getting rid of all the streak marks. It did dry down all right. And then I tried to add like a wet on wet wash of some of my colored ink, so you can see that like patch there. It didn't really work, so I kind of dried them out, and I just figured if I drew everything on top of it and did some opaque colors on top, you wouldn't really notice where I messed up. So I went in with a pencil. It's hard to see from the camera, but in person it was actually really easy to see where my pencil lines were, so I was able to do just the drawing back on top of there. And I went in and did another wet wash because I wanted to take all these iridescent paints. All of them are Jasmine Faye's. They're handmade, very iridescent, fancy paints. And I wanted to kind of get that like galaxy, nebulous look thing to it. So I just went through, I dropped a bottle, like a big droplet of water on top of all the colors I wanted to use. And then I went in and I just sort of dabbed them down really heavily on top of the wet wash. I basically just wanted the wet wash to soften the edges, not to have it completely blow out. So I could have just like this very nice nebula shape to kind of draw this dog constellation around. I was thinking about adding pink, and then I realized, no, I like all these cool colors. So I stuck with like silvers, blues, this like kind of iridescent greeny blue, and a lot of purples, and it turned out really fun colors. I really liked it. I think the silver in the tail, yeah, I darkened that up with some more purple. And we basically had to wait a long time for that to dry down because I went really heavy-handedly. And then I took out some white gouache and I used that to start drawing the celestial, like his outlines, and then you'll see in a little bit the stars and the constellation shape. It's not based off of any real constellation. It's just a random one I made out of the shape of the dog. So as simple as I normally do for line work anyways, I went even simpler with these lines just so that I wouldn't make the design confusing, so you could really tell the shape of the dog and that like constellation shape inside of it. And I didn't want to have the stars be too boring, so I added in a little bit of silver as well. So you can see I did them all basically with a jelly roller, and I think they turned out really cute. And then I went back in with that gouache and I drew the lines in between the constellations. It's just a made-up constellation, it's not anything specific, I just made it up on the time. And you'll see in a little bit, I made a mistake when I was painting the sun. I already had Jasmine Faye's paints out. They're gorgeous, they lay down well, I can layer on top of them well, there's no issues with that. But I thought, oh, I should use up one of my least favorite paints because I know there's a gold in it, and it was the student grade Schminky Hordem set I got from, they had a Schminky Hordem, had like an advent calendar one year. These paints lift so easily, it's ridiculous, and I had to let it dry completely, and then I tried to go in and do another layer, and I screwed it up, and I had to do it like 4 times to try and get it to at least be a solid gold instead of this patchiness. I should have just gone with the gold paint I have with Jasmine Faye's, but yeah, learn. So anyways, there it is. I hope you like it. Yeah, have a great day. I'd also like to take this moment to thank my patrons. If you didn't know, I have a Patreon. So thanks to So Spice, Audrey McAvoy, Olivia White, Sarah Flanagan, Philippa Riggs, Tasha Red Fox, Friday Norvell, Rory, Jesse Skrill, and Andrew Wilson. Thanks so much.